I had been looking forward to the weekend for weeks. My son, Arman, and I had planned a camping trip, a chance to escape the noise of the city, breathe fresh air, and spend uninterrupted time together. I'd packed the tent, sleeping bags, and fishing gear, imagining long walks through the forest, nights by the campfire, and the quiet laughter of father and son echoing through the trees. I had no idea that by the time we returned, my world would be shattered. The trip went as planned. Armin was thrilled, full of excitement and energy, running along the trails and discovering hidden creeks. We cooked over the fire, told stories, and for a brief moment, the worries of daily life melted away. I felt content, fulfilled, proud of the memories we were creating. When we returned home late Sunday evening, I was greeted by an eerie silence. The house, normally filled with activity and the faint sounds of the television or music, felt empty, still, and wrong. My son ran ahead to his room, dropping his backpack with a thud, and I followed, sensing unease in the air. Then I saw them. My wife, Sana, and her coworker lying in our marital bed, the room heavy with betrayal and the unmistakable evidence of infidelity. My heart stopped, then thundered in my chest. I could not comprehend what I was seeing. The woman I had trusted, the mother of my child, had violated the most sacred boundary of our relationship. The shock paralyzed me, but anger and disbelief surged immediately after. Sana scrambled to cover herself, her eyes wide with fear and something else guilt, but also the audacity to speak. "It's your fault," she said quickly, her voice defensive. "If you hadn't taken Armin camping, none of this would have happened." I stared at her, unable to process the words. The audacity of her claim struck me like a physical blow. She was blaming me for her betrayal, attempting to rewrite reality and turn the victim into the culprit. For a brief moment, the surreal nature of the situation left me silent. Trying to find a rational footing in the chaos, I took a deep breath and forced myself to calm down. Anger might have driven me to act recklessly, but clarity and evidence were more important. I needed to respond in a way that exposed the truth, established accountability, and preserved my dignity in the face of her audacious betrayal. I left the room, gathered my thoughts, and documented everything I could. Photos of the scene, timestamps, messages on her phone that revealed the planning, and the undeniable evidence of the affair. I realized that in the digital age, attempts to manipulate reality are futile when the truth is systematically documented. Sana could lie, she could attempt to shift blame, but evidence speaks louder than excuses. The next day, I confronted her calmly, presenting the evidence I had gathered. The photos, timestamps, and messages left no room for denial. The coworker, whose role had been to aid the secrecy, became irrelevant once the facts were laid bare. Sana's protests and manipulations were exposed as desperate attempts to avoid. Accountability. Friends and family became aware gradually, not through rumor or gossip, but through the undeniable proof of betrayal. The shock was universal. Those who had trusted her were stunned by the audacity and premeditation of her actions. The attempt to shift blame onto me, her husband and the father of her child, only deepened the gravity of her betrayal in the eyes of those who knew the facts. I realized that calm, deliberate exposure was the most effective response. Emotional outbursts might have satisfied temporary anger, but they would not have revealed the full scope of her betrayal, nor would they have established accountability. The evidence was decisive, unambiguous, and permanent. In the weeks that followed, the consequences unfolded naturally. Sana faced social scrutiny, the loss of trust, and the moral weight of her actions. She had attempted to manipulate, deceive, and deflect blame, but all her efforts collapsed under the weight of reality. The coworker was irrelevant in comparison to the clarity of the betrayal, and their attempts at concealment only highlighted the audacity of the act. I also had to process the emotional aftermath. Betrayal, especially by a spouse, leaves wounds that do not heal quickly. But there was also a strange clarity in the situation. By documenting, confronting, and exposing the affair, I reclaimed agency over my life and my narrative. I was no longer the victim of manipulation. I was someone who had navigated the chaos with composure, evidence, and decisive action. Arman, thankfully, remained oblivious to the full extent of the betrayal, his innocence preserved. My focus shifted to protecting him, ensuring stability, and rebuilding what I could of our family dynamic in a way that did not allow deceit to fester. Further, Sana attempted reconciliation, excuses, and emotional manipulation, but the foundation of our relationship had been irreversibly damaged. Betrayal, once revealed, cannot be ignored. Her claim that my decision to take our son camping caused the affair was laughably absurd, yet it highlighted a critical aspect of human behavior. Some people attempt to deflect responsibility even when confronted with undeniable truth. Experience taught me several lessons. First, trust, once broken, requires evidence, clarity, and decisive action to address. Second, manipulation, especially when combined with audacious attempts to shift blame, can only be countered with calm, collected exposure of the facts. Third, protecting those you care about, like my son, requires emotional intelligence, patience, and strategic response by the time legal steps were underway. I had gathered everything necessary to ensure accountability. Divorce proceedings, custody arrangements, and social exposure of the betrayal were all managed with precision, leaving no room for further manipulation. Sana's attempts to shift blame, to rewrite reality, or to evade responsibility were neutralized by evidence and public clarity. In retrospect, the camping trip, a decision meant to create positive memories, unexpectedly became the catalyst for exposure. While it was cruelly misrepresented by her, the timing of the trip allowed me to uncover the truth without interference. Ironically, what she tried to use as an excuse became irrelevant once the evidence was presented. The aftermath left me emotionally drained but empowered. Betrayal is a heavy burden, but evidence, calm confrontation, and clarity restore agency. The audacity of attempting to blame me for her actions only underscored the depth of her deception and the necessity of measured response. In the end, I reclaimed control of my life, preserved my son's innocence, and ensured that deception was met with accountability. Sana's betrayal, audacious as it was, became a testament to the power of calm, evidence-based confrontation in the face of manipulation and dishonesty. The lesson remains clear. Betrayal can come unexpectedly, even in moments of joy, but composure, clarity, and decisive action turn chaos into empowerment. The camping trip, intended for bonding and happiness, became the moment that revealed the full extent of deception, proving that truth and the calm assertion of it carries consequences that no audacity can escape.